It was a crisp fall morning when I first had the idea to install solar panels. As I sat at my kitchen table, sipping on my hot coffee and scrolling through my phone, I stumbled upon an article on the benefits of solar energy. I had always been conscious of the environment and tried to make small eco-friendly choices. But this was a game changer. Solar panels could drastically cut my energy bills and reduce my carbon footprint. My immediate thought was, why haven't I done this already? Living in a quiet, typical American suburb with houses neatly lined up and green lawns stretching across the blocks, my neighborhood was a picture of tranquility. But, like many homeowners, I was fed up with high electricity bills. It was time for a change, and I was determined to be part of the solution. As soon as I made the decision, I reached out to a reputable solar installation company. They assured me the process would be easy, and I was thrilled by the potential savings. With a fixed price for installation and a few government rebates, I was all set to make my home more sustainable. But in my excitement, I hadn't accounted for one thing: the HOA. The Homeowners Association was the unspoken power in our neighborhood, and while they had no say in my personal choices, they did have very strict guidelines about what could and could not be installed on our homes. Still, I thought I was safe. After all, solar panels were all the rage, right? Surely they'd be supportive of the environment, wouldn't they? The installation day arrived. The sun was shining brightly, and I couldn't have been more excited. The team from the solar company arrived early in the morning, and the work began almost immediately. They set up ladders, unloaded their equipment, and within hours, the solar panels were being mounted on the roof. It felt surreal, like I was watching my dream come true right in front of my eyes. But then the trouble started. Across the street, I saw Mrs. Thompson, a longtime member of the HOA board, walking briskly toward my house. She had that look on her face, the one that meant she was about to cause trouble. "Excuse me," she shouted before I could even say hello. "What is going on here?" I turned to face her, trying to keep my tone light. "Oh, hi, Mrs. Thompson. We're installing solar panels." Her eyes narrowed, and she crossed her arms over her chest. "You can't just install those without approval. Don't you know the HOA guidelines? This is an eyesore. You need approval from the board before doing any changes to your property." I felt a chill run through me. My heart sank as I tried to explain. "But I've checked with the city, and there were no restrictions listed. The company told me everything's fine." Mrs. Thompson's eyes hardened. "The city doesn't run this neighborhood. You are violating the HOA's rules. I'm going to report this to the board, and you're going to regret this." I tried to stay calm. "But it's just solar panels. They help the environment and lower our bills." Her response was cold. "We don't care about your bills. We care about the look of this neighborhood, and your solar panels are going to ruin it. I'll be taking this to the board." I watched her stomp off, my heart racing. I had done everything by the book, but it felt like the HOA was a roadblock I couldn't get past. I was in shock. The solar panels I had been so excited about now felt like a battleground. Mrs. Thompson had left me with a sense of impending doom. I had no idea how this was going to play out, but I couldn't just give up. The solar panels were not just an investment for me, they were a step toward a more sustainable future. That night, I stayed up late, going through every single page of the HOA's bylaws. I was determined to find any loophole, any clause that might allow me to keep my panels without further interference. Hours passed. I was exhausted, but I kept digging, page after page, through dense legalese. And then, there it was, a clause about solar panels buried in the middle of a lengthy document. It said, and I quote, "Solar panels may be installed on residential properties as long as they do not obstruct the property's curb appeal." I couldn't believe it. The HOA actually allowed solar panels as long as they didn't ruin the aesthetic. My panels, which were sleek and modern, were clearly within the rules. This wasn't just about following some rule, it was about standing my ground. I felt a surge of confidence as I printed out the pages with the relevant clauses. I wasn't going to let Mrs. Thompson, or anyone else for that matter, stop me from doing what was right. I immediately called the HOA office and scheduled a meeting with the board. I wasn't going to let this fight go unanswered. I had the documentation, and now I was going to make my case. The meeting with the HOA board was intense. Mrs. Thompson was there, of course, sitting with her arms folded across her chest. The room was sterile, with a long conference table and the other board members sitting in serious silence. It felt like a courtroom, and I was about to make my case. I stood up, cleared my throat, and began. I've read through the HOA's rules, and I found something I think you should all be aware of. Solar panels are allowed as long as they don't affect the neighborhood's curb appeal. I placed the printed documents on the table for them to see. I was calm, but inside I was buzzing with anticipation. The board president flipped through the pages, his brow furrowed as he read. The room was silent for what felt like an eternity. Mrs. Thompson's face was turning red with frustration. Finally, the board president looked up. It seems you're right. The rule does indeed allow for solar panel installation, and we were unaware of this clause. We apologize for the confusion. I could hardly believe it. After months of worrying, it was over. I had won. The board officially approved my solar panels, and Mrs. Thompson's attempts to stop me had failed. A few weeks later, the panels were fully installed, and I could already see the difference in my energy bills. My neighbors, initially skeptical, started to compliment me. "They actually look pretty good," one said with a smile. Another remarked, "I never realized solar panels could fit in so well with the neighborhood." As for Mrs. Thompson, well, I caught her one day walking past my house, and I couldn't help but feel a bit of satisfaction as I saw her glaring at the shining panels on my roof. She had lost, and I had won. Solar panels weren't just a win for my wallet, they were a victory for standing up for what's right, no matter how big the roadblocks.